Once you know some things, you can't unknow them. It's a burden that can never be given away. Be careful what you wish for. I know that for a fact. Wishes are brutal, unforgiving things. They burn your tongue the moment they're spoken and you can never take them back. Among men and women, those in love do not always announce themselves with declarations and vows. But they are the ones who weep when you're gone. Who miss you every single night, especially when the sky is so deep and beautiful, and the ground so very cold. Unrequited love is so boring. Weeping under a blue-black sky is for suckers or maniacs. No one knows you like a person with whom you've shared a childhood. No one will ever understand you in quite the same way. Sometimes the right thing feels all wrong until it is over and done with. My theory is that everyone at one time or another has been at the fringe of society in some way. An outcast in high school, a stranger in a foreign country, the best at something, the worst at something, the one who's different. Being an outsider is the one thing we all have in common. Burn me, drown me, tell me lies. I will still be who I am. When you start writing, the magic comes when the characters seem to take on a life of their own and write the words for themselves. Unfinished business always comes back to haunt you, and a man who swears he'll love you forever isn't finished with you until he's done. How could I have been so stupid to ignore everything I'd had in my life? The color red alone was worth kingdoms. You build your world around someone, and then what happens when he disappears? Where do you go? Into pieces, into atoms, into the arms of another man. You go shopping, you cook dinner, you work odd hours, you make love to someone else on June nights. But you're not really there. Every fairy tale had a bloody lining. Every one had teeth and claws. You have to choose the voice you are going to trust. You can't listen to everyone. It's not finding what's lost, it's understanding what you've found. You can be betrayed in your sleep. The whole world can tilt while you're dreaming of butterflies. Love is complicated, love can be hidden, love, above all else, is loyalty. Some things you cannot wish away or think away. They become part of you when you remember them. Sometimes words drew blood, they cut your tongue, they made you know things you couldn't unknow. When you have lost your mother, you have lost the world. All that will ever be has already been written long before it happens. There is nothing we can do to stop it. The moon is always jealous of the heat of the day, just as the sun always longs for something dark and deep. Here is the riddle of love: everything it gives to you, it takes away. The frightened walk away when love is difficult. I know that now. You have to be willing to give everything away. You have to be willing to end up with nothing. Only then will your heart be whole. Love was like that, like a dream you didn't quite understand, one in which you didn't necessarily know what you were looking at until it was right in front of you. I thought of the bowl of water my mother taught me to look into. It was true, everything a person ever needed to know was right there in a single bowl small enough to fit in the palm of one hand. I wasn't good company, that was true, and people avoided me, but that was all right. I was too busy dreaming. Do you ever just put your arms out and just spin and spin and spin? Well, that's what love is like. Everything inside of you tells you to stop before you fall, but for some reason you just keep going. What you dream, you can grow. Someone told me that, but I didn't believe it. I said I had nothing and that people with nothing are unable to dream. But I was wrong. Some things, when they change, never do return to the way they once were. Butterflies, for instance, and women who've been in love with the wrong man too often. Fate is what you make it, or you will be what it makes of you. Pride is a funny thing, it can make what is truly worthless appear to be a treasure. What makes a dangerous woman, however, was not always so apparent, for what is unnoticeable to the human eye is often the most deadly attribute. The voice that arises out of the silence is something no one can imagine until it is heard. It roars when it speaks, it lies to you and convinces you, it steals from you and leaves you without a single word of comfort. It doesn't matter what people tell you. It doesn't matter what they might say. Sometimes you have to leave home. Sometimes, running away means you're headed in the exact right direction. Alice Hoffman, born March 16, 1952 in New York City and raised on Long Island, New York. Her grandmother was a Russian Jewish immigrant. She graduated from Valley Stream North High School in 1969, and then from Adelphi University with a Bachelor of Arts. She was a Mireles Fellow at the Stanford University Creative Writing Center in 1973 and 1974, where she earned a Master of Arts in Creative Writing. Hoffman is an American novelist and young adult and children's writer, best known for her 1995 novel Practical Magic, which was adapted for a 1998 film of the same name. Many of her works fall into the genre of magic realism and contain elements of magic, irony, and non-standard romances and relationships. When Hoffman was 21 and studying at Stanford, her first short story, At the Drive-In, was published in Volume 3 of the literary magazine Fiction. In 2015, Hoffman donated her archives to her alma mater, Adelphi University.